my team from another, and Mamta ji from Calcutta is with us, and helping us are also Mr. Anil Goyal ji, and all other our friends also. And let me, give you a little bit, only for 1 minute or 2 minutes, a little bit introduction of our IPA team. I'm just sharing my, screen with you.
हाँ correct.
Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. This is, our small flower which we have received. R is, Insolvency Professional, IPA, All India Insolvency Professional Association. Yeah, this is, brief about me only. And we are having a virtual meeting. Basically here we are discussing navigating recent IBBA amendments, circulars and notifications, a practical guide for insolvency professionals. Actually, what happened that on 25th of May, there was notification which was made applicable from 26th of May. It was basically whatever provisions after the 2015 IBC Act was there, some of the major provisions will get implemented with effect from 26th May. At this moment, I would like to tell you that no circulars have and notifications have, gained a lot of importance. Earlier, what was happening that whenever there is any change of requirement or any need for a change in the regulations are required, IBBI do issue some public notice, and after taking comments from the public, they go for going for amendments and all this in there. Now they have taken this power with them. Now whatever amendment they require, without going through this lengthy process of 1 or 2 months, they are amending their regulations by issuing circulars or notifications. One of the notification which in fact had changed the whole scene of the IBC, I must tell you, which was dated 25th of June 2026, which said that what are the provisions of this act will be applicable. Hence we thought of now taking care of all this in there. And as far as circulars which we be discussing today and notification which we be discussing today are, before that, I must tell you, our IPA is, a very young organization, and we regularly hold meeting, generally once in a month. Last meeting was on 15th of April. It is our 87th meeting, and our membership strength after special drive was 322 members. R is we formed this association in 2017, 17 and a half year young, and many more steps we need to take further. And that is there. And this disclaimer is with me. Mamta ji will be looking after these. This is our YouTube channel. If you are not able to look into it, you can later on see our recordings in YouTube channel, please. Yeah, these are the basically the notifications which will be looked after by Mamta ji. CRP notification dated 25th the May 2020.
That I will take it up. You can leave.
Yeah. I'm just telling. Okay. You will take, and I be only taking after. These are the all will be taken by Mamta ji, and I be only taking up this notification. Now I hand over my baton to Mamta ji. Please come forward and start sharing your PPT, please.
Oh, no. Thank you so much.
I'm closing down my PPT.
Yes, sure.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So in IPA, we believe that we should be kind of time-bound process. So we ourselves has to be time-bound. So thank you for being with us. I request all of your good selves to kindly give me 20-25 minutes of your precious time. After that, Manoj ji will take over the baton. So I'll invite your kind attention. What I have done is I have put up all the circulars notifications together in this PPT. If you so want, later on, we can also share it with you. There's a master key. So be with me. I know it's a lot of things to be covered, but the way we will take you through, at least you will get the prima facie understanding that कुछ तो ममता जी ने आईपा की मीटिंग में कहा था, शायद it needs to be relooked by us. That is the whole objective. Everything can't go inside the head. But at least we should know how you've heard something and we should not make an error. So I've drawn up a chart like this, which we have it here, so as to show you that so many number of changes has happened in the last, we are covering from 14/10/25 and trying to cover it till 15/6/2026. So it's almost 8 months. So obviously, IBBI has all the, I mean, it's amazing. So many kudos to IBBI for having doing this. Now I'm coming up straight to 14/10/2025. See, whenever in a year, in a calendar year, the amendment starts. The amendment starts, what happens is they started from the first amendment, second amendment, they start putting these numericals. But first amendment is never called a first because government can't say that. They will always have it in their mind that it may not need any further amendments. So first amendment, you will never find the word first. It is always from the second amendment that you start seeing this second amendment, etc. So when you only find liquidation process, for example, liquidation process amendment regulations 2025. So that means that is the first amendment. Okay. Now in 2025, this is the second amendment, which has come on date of 14/10/2025. Now, whenever you see the last three lines, that it shall come into the force on the date of their publication in the official gazette. That means that it is going to come into effect prospectively. So that means to the cases where liquidation by sale as going concern has not commenced. So there are a number of cases where we are appearing in the court, where the court is saying, no, no, I will not be able to entertain this application. We are telling the lordships that, lordship, this sale has started or has already taken shape before this amendment has come place. So you are absolutely within your rights, lordship, to look at it. Otherwise, they are not wanting to look at any application which has a going sale in that, because we know that we go to the courts for seeking reliefs, even in a going concern sale. So what has happened in this important 14/10, very quickly, I want to tell you that the sale of corporate debtor as a going concern from the liquidation regulations has been totally removed. And as I again say, that it is only prospectively. Okay, so from 14/10/2025, if you're going to commence any sale as a going concern, then you cannot do it. Okay, so all that see in red, that you see in red is before amendment. Okay, now if you see the top line, just see the top portion, see clause F has been omitted. So green thing is what is it now? What is the changes? So red is the previous one, green is what is there now. So clause F has been omitted. Then they say that before amendment in regulation 32, there were two clauses with regard to going concern sale. The corporate debtor as a going concern and the business of the corporate debtor as a going concern. So this is what it was before amendment. All of it is in red. So after amendment, entire regulation 32A, which talks about relating to sale. If you see 32A, look, 32A has a heading of sale as a going concern. So entire after amendment, entire 32A relating to sale as a going concern has been omitted. Then look, 14/10, then there was an amendment in the CIRP regulations. That is the sixth amendment. Okay. So as I was telling you that in a year, whatever amendments takes place in a whole calendar year, they number it. So on 14/10, imagine this is the sixth amendment. So government is giving all ears and eyes to what the entire fraternity is talking about and what is the jurisprudence that is emerging or something which is being misused or lost its relevance. Okay. Now, 39C is a regulation which is under the CIRP. I'm sure you're aware. 39C is there that if a company is going into, even if a resolution plan is being submitted with the AA, then regulation 39C used to say that one has to assess, the COC has to assess before sending the petition to AA, that whether if the company just goes into liquidation, what is going to happen. So 39C, therefore, as you understand, also has been omitted. It makes sense because they are saying that now sale as a going concern and liquidation will not happen. So therefore, regulation 39C from the CIRP regulations has also been totally omitted. So please keep that in mind, that what am I saying by all of this? That sale of a corporate debtor as a going concern or sale of business as a going concern has been totally omitted. Now, what is the next change? That is regulation 39D in the CIRP. They say that fee of the liquidator, if you recollect, 32E and F was also sale of going concern, in liquidation, sale of business as a going concern. All that fees has also been omitted. And then the B has been removed. So therefore, the and has been now put before A and B. Otherwise, there are clauses A, B, and C. Okay. Then this is very critical. On 4/11/2025, I'm requesting all your ears for this. On 4/11/2025, the government said that this strengthened the hands of the RPs, and they said that if during CIRP your assets are, have been attached by the enforcement directorate, or even for that matter before CIRP, if it remains attached, then the resolution professional, for that matter, even the IRP, both have been, quite, should I say, they have been given this instrument that like this circular, you can approach the PMLA for actually freeing your assets from the attachment of the ED. There are many mechanisms. In fact, I am also in one of the matter doing it. You have to use the same format that has been given by the government, that is by the IBPI. The same format has to be used to write to PMLA. It is a kind of an application that one has to make. And just to tell you that for each asset, a separate application has to be made. For example, if there is a property which is under attachment, then if there's a bank account which is under attachment, then in both the matters, separate applications needs to be drawn. And it takes about 2, 3, 4 months. But we have seen that ED has also given a confirmation that yes, they are okay with this circular. And when you use this circular, you have to keep filing reports with the enforcement directorate as to what is it that you have done with those assets. Okay, so this is a quite a interesting circular. Then 29A has also been quite strengthened by the IBPI, and they have actually introduced formats as to what do they mean by strengthening 29A. So in 29A, now you have to even ask for an affidavit from the resolution applicants that whether they are eligible or not eligible to have the benefits of section 32A. 32A is a clean slate principle section, we all know, that whether they are eligible to get the benefits of 32A. And they also say and ask that who will be the beneficial owners ultimately of this resolution plan. So if, for example, if there's a corporate, or a company or an LLP, which is buying that company as a successful resolution applicant, or for that matter, there have been 10 applicants who have put in a resolution plan, and then it goes into the mechanism of voting, we have to ask all of them to submit that who will be the ultimate beneficiary. Please note that for all of this, absolute formats have been provided by IBPI, and that format only has to be used. Very quickly, if I also want to tell you one more thing as a practical tip, that is, if a resolution plan has already been submitted by you in the AA, then also the adjudicating authorities are asking for this kind of a affidavit from us, even if that has been submitted. So one has to be very careful with this and kindly read it well. This is another very important change. Now, there are these filing of forms. I'm just, I have been given only half an hour, and even sir is taking half an hour. So give me a little bit hush up, but what we can do is we can come up with part 2. Now here, this is quite important again. Please note, and this is very critical for insolvency professionals who are working in this area, that we are now allowed to take only 10 assignments. And this is applicable for an individual RP or insolvency professional, not even RP, IP, not for an IPE, because this specifically mentions that an insolvency professional who is not an IPE shall not at any time have more than 10 assignments in aggregate, okay, as IRP or RP or as a liquidator. So in 10, all IRP, RP, and liquidator will be counted. Pre-packaged, etc., is not included here. Neither the bankruptcy of individual are included. And they also say that we cannot have more than 3 assignments which has an admitted debt exceeding rupees 1,000 crore. So this is very important. And the second paragraph says that, for example, today when you read this, you have 20 or 15 assignments. So they say that you cannot accept any new assignment until the ongoing assignment falls below the limit specified in this regulation. So this is important for you to know. Then, whenever a resolution plan you are checking, as I told you about that 29A, you may kindly like to read this, that every resolution plan shall, this is what is there in that, a statement of official ownership, statement of beneficial ownership, details of all natural persons who will ultimately controls the resolution applicant together with the shareholding structure and the jurisdiction of the intermediate entity, and an affidavit in a format which will say that the resolution applicant is eligible or not eligible for the benefit of section 32A. Please don't confuse it with 29A. I have mentioned section 32A. So this I'm also requesting. There are a lot of bankers, sirs, respected sirs who have joined. I'm requesting all of even the financial creditors to be very careful that when a resolution plan is seen, this has to be carefully made sure that one has seen it. Because a lot of people are missing it. When I work as an arguing counsel in the courts, I see that people are missing, and then courts are telling them to come back with it. So it just takes away 2 months from, because when you bring it, you need to take permission for an additional affidavit, then again you need to serve the other side, etc. So whenever you're going, let's go with this together so that it saves time. Okay, so here, then I'm not getting into the filing of forms, but just to tell you, respected IPs, that liquidation process regulations has also in the year, in 2026, in the beginning itself, they have come up with a lot of these forms, and they say that they have done away with these liquidation 1, 2, and 3 forms, and they have said that the liquidator shall file the forms along with enclosures as notified from the board from time to time. Now, I want to tell you that a lot of these amendments you will see in the presentation, what they have done is the forms remain the same. But what they have done is it becomes very difficult, to amend it time and again. So they have shifted from there and brought it here so that it will be easier for them to change the forms. So they say as notified by the board. If it is there in the regulation, you understand that process of changing regulation is also quite tedious. Of course, less tedious than a rule, but still it is tedious. So they now say that forms will be as notified by the board. So notification will be simpler to bring. That is why. So this is a very basic change that has happened, and you'll see quite a number of changes regarding that. Now, 2, 3 important changes, and I'll only take 5 to 7 more minutes. Broadly, please note that please give me your ears. I'll show you the presentation a little later, maybe just 2, 3 minutes, please listen to me. In valuation, what they have done is that they have said that you need to appoint 2 sets of registered valuers, okay? The concept of 2 sets have been introduced. Previous to the amendment, we read and understood that 2 registered valuers have to be appointed. Post the amendment, which is very important for you to see, 2 sets of registered valuers have to be appointed. And within each set, you have to appoint a coordinating valuer. It is important for the financial creditors who are here from Sammaan Capital, from banks. I see a lot of known faces from Bank of India, from State Bank of India, from Canara Bank. I'm respectfully saying that we may not miss this. It is very critical. I once again say at the cost of repetition that previously we knew that we have to appoint two registered valuers. Now it says that we need to appoint two sets of registered valuers. Now there's not much difference, because if you are appointing a registered valuer organization, RV, it's known as, sorry, RVE entity, registered valuer entity, then obviously they have all the three there. So you can still appoint two RVEs that will be considered as two sets of registered valuers. But if you're appointing separately, then it means one full set, one full set. Okay. So one land and building SFA and the third one, PNM, similarly like that, to two sets. And in each set, please don't make a mistake in hearing, in each set, one has to appoint a coordinating valuer from from all the three, any one can be picked up as a coordinating valuer. Okay. Now, coordinating valuer's job will be to both the coordinating valuers will talk to each other, will coordinate and tell the COC and the RP that what is the fair value figure. So that's a huge role that they play. And the other registered valuers will actually firm up as to what is the liquidation value. So this is one major change. Second major change is in pre-packaged, one has to appoint only one set of registered valuer. There have been a change in the earlier times where they said two sets, but again in 2026, they made that in pre-packaged, only one set of registered valuer appointment is required. Third important change is in CIRP. If the corporate debtor is a MSME, then only one set of registered valuers is required to be obtained, unless the unless the RP in consultation with the COC decides that two sets are required. I once again say that in liquidation and CIRP, both the cases, if the corporate debtor is an MSME, then only one set of registered valuer is required, unless the RP or the liquidator in consultation with the COC decides that two sets are required and the reasons have to be noted in writing. I think I'll just take 5 more minutes. 4:30, I'll sharp leave Manojji to you. Then there is this, they say that, see this sheet now, which is on your screen, that the valuation will be computed in accordance with the company's registered valuers and valuation rules 2017. Okay. Now the government, after amendment, and this is applicable for all the valuation concepts. That's why I've put the sheet very importantly, that they say that such valuation standards as notified by the board through circular. So, they have made it more palpable because it makes it more easier. Okay. And the circular, I'll show you the circular where already the international valuation standards have been notified by the IBPI for the purposes of valuation. I'll show you that circular. And third or whichever number, I think sixth or seventh important change is that the valuer shall have to prepare the valuation report and maintain such documentation as per the format notified by the board through circular. I just wish to tell you that this circular is yet to come. So whenever it comes, we need to be very careful and the valuer has to be set. Now, when I recently, in one of the matter, when I was appointing coordinating valuer, even the valuers were really not aware and they were taken by surprise that, ma'am, what are you doing? What do you mean by coordinating valuer? Then actually, I had to share and tell them everything. I had to, and that was quite it happens with all of us. It's nothing that I'm talking about in any other tone and tenor. I'm just trying to tell you that unless we are actually attending such sessions or doing a humongous work on understanding what are the changes that has come, it's very normal to miss such changes. So I'm requesting that whenever we are doing something, we from IPA will share this presentation with all of you. You may kindly look at it and make use of it. I'll stop here. Just to one more thing I want to tell you, that is that when valuation is done, I want to show you one line which is very critical. See point number D for Delhi. the coordinating valuer, okay, of a set shall compute the fair value of the corporate debtor. And this is what I want you to see. After considering the fair value of the assets as computed by the registered valuers within that set, along, emphasize, along with their underlying synergies, and submit the same to the resolution professional. Okay, so in one of the sentence, they also talk of tangible assets and intangible assets. They have critically mentioned it, okay? Tangible assets, intangible assets, along with their underlying synergies. Okay, so this is one. And lastly, I want to say that the government has said that before, see, this is the, as I was mentioning, that Insolvency Board notifies the international valuation standards as issued and updated from time to time by the International Valuation Standards Council. With this, I stop and I give it away to Manoj. So we actually have reached to 1st of April, but of course there are few, if you see the slide, it is actually 301 slides without any flab or without any without any flab is it all has flesh and bones. So we will share it with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind attention.
Yeah.
Yes, Manoj.
Thank you, Mamtaji. Thanks a lot. We being, student of IBC, this time we decided that we shall, adhere to the IBC timeline, because we IPs are always taught to be adhere to the timeline. That's why, she must have rushed about with some important circulars. But don't worry, I just tell you, we shall go for the part two also. Maybe with me and she as a set of speaker, or some other sets of speaker, so that you remain updated. In fact, I tell you one thing. Me and Mamtaji was talking, and Mr. Anilji also sometimes talk with us. It is our way of learning. It's, whenever we need to go for any presentation, we look deep into all these things, and then we come forward with our learning process. And in fact, a lot of things which she told today, we already covered in our previous webinar on 15th of March there also. But despite that, in one of my assignment, I was missing a lot of things which she, being elder sister to me, told me, Manoj ji, आप इसका ध्यान दे लेना. मैंने कहा, yes, you reminded me. And there, I think that the same session should have been with you also. The things are changing so frequently, and in a very different manner. और किसी के पास 1 2 3 4 assignments आती हैं, तो उसको जब करना पड़ता है, तो he has, he need to put energy in recollecting all these things there. In any case, now, let me, share my presentation with you.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, she being my elder sister has a lot of capacity to, abreast you and enlighten you with a lot of notifications and circulars. I shall abreast you only with one notification. But this is, this notification is taking everything out of this thing. In fact, I just shared with you, there was a talk of IBC2 also coming to be there. But somehow it requires a lot of energy and all this thing there. They thought of coming out with this notification. It is consuming around 80% or 70% of what amendment was proposed in the 2015 IBC Amendment Act. Let me, start with it now, please. The notification referred to is the notification issued by the central government under Section 1, subsection 2. Bringing specified provision of the Amendment Act which are coming into force. This notification came. What are the key details of this notification? This is notification issued on 25th of May. And proudly I say that we shared with everybody on the same night to all the our group members, that treating them as a breaking news. Effective date was 26 May 2026. Authority was central government, Section 1, and so and so. And I just tell you, along with that, I'm being running process, and Mamta is being an advocate. She is mainly into advocate practice. मैं process के लिए जो चीजें हम लोग इन पर्टिकुलर नोटिफिकेशंस के साथ हमारे को करनी पड़ेगी, कैसे हमारा चेंज आ रहा है, आफ्टर 26th of May in our practice, in our practice of insolvency professionals, and what our changes I have brought in my working with this in there. So I be sharing that with you also, so that if a lot of people will be there who maybe get enlightened with my this thing there. Section 1. अब हम सेक्शन 1 की अगर हम बात करें तो it is very very important. Section 1 is not important not only in IBC but all the other acts. You look into GST, you look into it, Income Tax Act. इसके अंदर वो सेक्शन 1 अथॉरिटी देता है कि कौन बंदा किस चीज पे ये एप्लीकेबल होगा. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल सेक्शन 1 here says that it the central government has power to implement on there. It was implemented on all over India, but on J&K when Article 370 was abrogated, 35A was abrogated, it was implemented 18 मार्च 2020. जबकि IBC एक्ट पूरा का पूरा वी रिमेंबर 1/10 को रिकवर हो गया था. What prisons are coming to be there applicable? They have mentioned it section 233, the section 34, stated prison, so and so, like this, which is coming into the screen. But here also, we need to remember what has been deferred, what has not been, yet commenced, because those are also very, very important prisons. Excluded, portion of section 34 with reference to CIRP. CIRP is creditor initiated insolvency resolution process. This is, basically replacing PPIRP or parallel to PPIRP. It is also, in the days to come, especially in the big insolvencies, where you need to put lot of the big cases be there, it may be implemented. 54A subsection PPIRP is replacing this section 34, section 67. It is nothing. It is related to the bankruptcy fund. Section 69, other than A, this is central government power and so not very important. Important is at the end. What is that? That is section 71. Cross-border insolvency. Their prisons has not been notified under section 246 because rules and the regulations against that is yet to be made. In other words, in nutshell, CIRP prison, cross-border insolvency prison, is yet to be notified in all this thing there. Let's move forward now. My slide had just stopped, not moving forward. Okay. Yeah, I've been able to. Okay. There appears to be considerable confusion regarding the recent notification. What confusion is that they have mentioned it that section so and so is being implemented, but that is not the truth. Truth is that they have mentioned what section was there in in their amendment act. It doesn't mean IBC section. Let that confusion be over. And it is important to understand that the amendment it is divided into 72 separate parts, with each part containing one or more proposed amendments to different provisions, so and so. The government is bringing these amendments into force part by part rather than all at once. In the notifications, government has said that these parts which were part of the IBC Bill 2025 later on 2026 is being amended there. For example, they mentioned that part 72 has been notified. It doesn't mean that section, although they have mentioned it section 72, but don't get it confused that it is it means section 22. It is section 72. It means section 242. Similarly, therefore the notification is not 72. It's a section 242. Let that confuse. A lot of confusion was there. Another big confusion which Mamta ji has taken a little bit in his slides also. What are the prisons which are applicable retrospectively, or what are the prisons which are applicable prospectively? Prospectively mean 26/5 के बाद से, और sorry, retrospectively ये 26/5 के बाद से. Prospectively mean since the start of the IBC. तो इसके अंदर हम लोगों ने when I delve a little bit deep into it, because this plays a very very important role whenever we need to take decision in our processes. तो इसके लिए when I took the help of the some other sites, and I try to make distinction how we can make a distinction, what is retrospective, what is prospective. So I come out with solution to understand this thing in this way. The general rule is substantive amendments, prospective. Procedural or clarificatory amendment generally retrospective unless a contrary intention pays in this case. This principle has been repeatedly recognized by Indian courts. There is no specific set of rules. This we learn with our practice only. For that, we need to ask 5 questions ourselves. Does the amendment expressly state effective date? Definitely. If commencement clause of the Amendment Act, notification of Section 1, transitional provisions, and if it's let me come to the second slide. If this amendment state that this amendment will be effective from this so and so date, then it will be effective from that date. It means that it is effective from that date, whether it is prospective or retrospective, but it is prospective if it doesn't say anything. Shall come into force on such date as the central government may notify, then it is prospective from the notified date unless otherwise specified. Question 2. Is the amendment clarificatory in nature? The Parliament says for removal of doubts or it is hereby clarified. It often indicates that Parliament intends only to explain what the law always meant and is retrospective. Example, amendment in Section 3 with reference to security interest. After Rainbow Judgment, there was a lot of confusion of, when this thing will be there and there voluntarily or by pressure of law. That particular amendment is retrospective. Does it merely change procedure? In that case, like filing procedure, timeline, mode of so and so, then it is always retrospective. Example, Section 22 now says if IRP is appointed RP, then intimation is enough from earlier amendment, whereas a petition was filed earlier and NCLT was required to adjudicate and pass an order for that. His appointment was effective only when NCLT was passing order. But now with this, under Section 22 amendment, now it is nothing is required, and this amendment is effective retrospectively. Does the amendment create any new right or liability? If yes, then it is prospective. Example, Section 21 again, abolishing of COC now coming out with SCC. Don't worry, I'll be dealing all these provisions in detail just after completing this thing there. Question, does it affect vested interest? When Section 4 was amended, when limit of 1 lakh was increased to 1 crore, a lot of litigation was there. It was retrospective. Amendment. Okay, now I'm coming to my thing. What amendment is there in Section 3? I must tell you that whatever amendments I be sharing it with you and I be letting you know, I be mixing up my practical experience in that also. Reason for that is so that we IPs can learn how we can how this has affected our processes. Hence our practicing IPs, I request them open up their mind and ear so that whatever I learn, whatever I experience with these amendments, please they should also get it implemented in their processes also. Amendment in Section 3, new subclause 27E added. It simply clarified that the linking definition of registered value with companies of 2013. She has already told about international valuation standard and all this thing there. It is clarificatory explanation added to Section 31, applicable prospectively. Creation of security interest, agreement versus operation of law. This is a clarificatory explanation has been added to Section 31. Which makes a distinction of the security interest. Security interest is very, very important in our the case. Why it is so important? If we see Section 53, subsection 2, subsection B, subsection 2. It gives, in distribution, it gives right to second right to our secured creditors. But if because of any reason that secured creditor gets shifted to unsecured portion, then his priority comes out to be either as a D or as a E, meaning thereby that third or fourth. और हम लोगों ने जनरली ये देखा है कि जो secured creditor की सारे पैसे खत्म हो जाते हैं, नीचे तक तो कुछ मिलता ही नहीं. तो इससे ये फर्क पड़ता है कि जो भी पैसे अनसिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स के पास बेसिकली ही डजंट गेट एनीथिंग. तो इस करके सिक्योर्ड और अनसिक्योर्ड के बीच में करना बड़ा जरूरी था. तो इसके ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ी जजमेंट आई थी ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट की, जिसके अंदर मैंने सेल टैक्स रेनबो की आपको जजमेंट बताई, जिसके अंदर उन्होंने ये कहा था कि गुजरात वैट के अंदर बिकॉज ऑफ ऑपरेशन ऑफ लॉ, यानी कि उनके पास राइट था अथॉरिटीज के पास कि अगर उनके कोई जीएसटी ड्यूज सॉरी उनके जो रिलेवेंट स्टेट टैक्स से ड्यूज कोई पे नहीं करता था तो उनका प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर राइट आ जाता था। तो ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि देन दे बिकम सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स। तो इस चीज को ओवरराइड करते हुए अप्रीजो हैज बीन एडेड दैट ही वोंट बी अ सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर, तो ही विल बी ट्रीटेड एज इधर एज अ गवर्नमेंट क्रेडिटर, गवर्नमेंट ड्यूज और अनसिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर। लेकिन इसके साथ एक और जजमेंट आई थी। ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जजमेंट थी, ग्रेटर नोएडा इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी वर्सेस प्रभजीत सिंह सोनी एंड अदर। इस केस के अंदर क्या हुआ था, फैक्ट्स इस केस के अंदर थोड़े से ये थे कि ग्रेटर नोएडा अथॉरिटी के कुछ ड्यूज थे जो कि उनको ये राइट देते थे कि अगर उनके ड्यूज ना पे किए जाएं तो लीज एग्रीमेंट जो है वो कैंसिल हो जाता था। तो आरपी, मिस्टर सोनी, एनसीएलटी, NCLAT treated them as OC only. But Honorable Supreme Court reversed everything and they said कि because of there's this particular right, they are secured creditor. So maybe IBC Act does not make any distinction between financial or operational secured creditor. They said they are the secured creditor and hence they have the priority of receiving their money along with all the banks. तो ये अब इस तरह की जो यानी कि जो चेंज आया था हमारा इसके अंदर, इसके ऊपर अमेंडमेंट ने कुछ नहीं कहा। इसके ऊपर अमेंडमेंट ने जो है इट इज अगेन वन ऑफ द ग्रे एरिया वेयर आई थिंक आवर अथॉरिटीज मस्ट लुक इनटू इट कि जो हमारा एक ऑब्जेक्टिव था वो ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था कि अगर हम किसी से पैसे लेते हैं अमेंडमेंट का, उसको उस समय हम अपने सिक्योरिटी को देते हैं तो दैट पर्टिकुलर पर्सन बी ट्रीटेड एज सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर। बट दिस जजमेंट सेज दैट भाई अगर हमने उससे पैसे नहीं लिए, उससे हमने लैंड ली और लीज के अंदर कुछ इस तरह से है तो देन ही शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज अ सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर। तो मीनिंग देयर बाय कि जो हमारे ये दिल्ली एनसीआर के अंदर बहुत सारे होम बायर्स के केस हैं, ईडीसी आईडीसी जो इनके ड्यूज हैं, तो ये स्टिल बी ए सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर, they still be our secured creditor, and which is against the objective of what this amendment thought of was bringing there. In any case, government knows better than us. बट इसका एक हमारे पास एक वे आउट, यानी कि प्रैक्टिकली आई कैन सजेस्ट माय आईपी ब्रदर्स दैट कि हमने मान भी लिया कि बिकॉज ऑफ प्रभजीत सिंह सोनी की जजमेंट करके दे आर सिक्योर्ड क्रेडिटर्स, but government, so honorable supreme court also realized that their dues, edc idc dues are so heavy that it jeopardized the whole this work, this our IBC work, डिस्पाइट व्हाट इट इंटेंड टू बी। तो उन्होंने फिर ये कहा कि इनके जो प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट है वही आप पे करो, बाकी इंटरेस्ट एंड पेनल्टीज देयर इज नो नीड टू पे फॉर दैट। तो दैट कैन हेल्प यू आउट, if you come across any of these secured creditors, he is treated as a secured creditor because of because of lease agreement, all this thing there. Okay, another is new subclause 31A has been added, whereas service project has been defined. Why they said that IPA, IU, RV, IPA, Insolvency Professional Agency, Information Fidelity, Registered Valuer, plus any of the the central government, the notified persons shall be treated as a service provider. Just look behind these section. What are the reason of amendment? Reason of amendment was simple, that these all people are rendering services to we IPs, to we all IBC processes. IBPA want to have a control on them. That is why they have been treated as a service provider. But here there was one very big catch. What catch was that कि इन्होंने IPEs को नहीं लिया इसके अंदर, सर्विस प्रोवाइडर के अंदर। एंड व्हेन आई डिड लेटर ऑफ माय R&D एंड देन आई रियलाइज कि व्हाई दे हैव नॉट टेकन द IPEs, जो कि अगर हम अपने प्रोसेसेस को रन करें तो IP को मैक्सिमम सर्विसेज IPE ही देती है। तो जो IPE देती है तो दैट हैज बीन इंटेंशनली एक्सक्लूडेड। व्हाई दैट हैज बीन इंटेंशनली एक्सक्लूडेड? बिकॉज IPE is already regulated by the IBBI from formation to it's a whole life cycle, and that is why it has not been included there. But here I have my respectful submission to my, वो कहते हैं ना, अभी धुरंधर मूवी आई थी तो जिसके अंदर बड़े साहब कहा जाता था। बड़े साहब कौन है हमारे, आप जानते हो, हमारे रेगुलेटर्स हमारे बड़े साहब हैं। Lot of controls are being put on we IPs and all this thing there, but there is a we as an IP, अगर आज की डेट में हम देखें तो COC is running the show, COC is the most dominating factor in the whole IBC ecosystem who run the show, and this is there. No single the amendment has been brought to control them. My respectful submission is that they should also need to be controlled, because when we are running the processes, we faces lot of the process problems in because of, I shouldn't say it because of COC, but because of the non-answerability of COC members to anybody, any regulator, any authority and anybody. जैसे मैं ये तो रिसेंटली मैंने बताई, इसमें मैं आपको 2-3 बड़े अच्छे से एग्जांपल देता हूं जो कि मैं प्रैक्टिकली आई कम अक्रॉस। वन वाज दैट कि इन वन ऑफ में केस मेरा एडमिशन हुआ 12/5/2026 को। तो ये नॉर्मल था केस, तो बात है वो उस ऑर्डर को उन्होंने चैलेंज कर दिया, क्या नाम इसका, NCLT NCLT के अंदर, और NCLT ने उसकी जो प्रोसीडिंग्स हो उसको 28 तारीख को अपहोल्ड कर दिया कि ये जो एडमिशन है इट इज गुड एंड इट नीड टू कंटिन्यू। I received a grievance explanation from IBBI dated 29, hardly 1 day after of effective the effective implementation of this CRP process कि आपने जी अलॉटी को घर क्यों नहीं दिया। अब बताइए, जब इस तरह की बातें हमारे होम बायर्स करेंगे या हमारे फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स करेंगे तो क्या करेंगे। सेम केस के अंदर एक इट वाज अ क्वाइट बिग केस, तो इसके अंदर अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 2-3 हज़ार होम बायर्स थे। तो हम लोगों ने सबका जो एज पर बुक्स क्लेम आया था वो एक्सेप्ट कर लिया लॉन्ग विद 8% इंटरेस्ट और ऑल थिंग देयर। साथ में ये लिख दिया कि हम इसको प्रोविजनली एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हैं, फाइनल जो है जो अपने फॉर्म CA वगैरह हमारे को फाइल करा है उसको हम कर लेंगे। डिस्पाइट ऑल दिस रिटर्न देयर सम होम बायर्स आर फाइल्ड एन आई अगेंस्ट मी कि इन्होंने जी हमारे जो रेरा के जो NCRDC के ऑर्डर्स थे उनको कंसिडर नहीं करा और हमारा जो क्लेम है एक लोअर अमाउंट पे फाइल कर दिया। तो आई रिक्वेस्ट माय बिग ब्रदर एंड बड़े साहब कि भैया आप जरा थोड़ा सा हमारी IPs के ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा ध्यान दें। COC की ठीक है, दे आर आवर बॉस एंड दे नीड टू बी देयर से हैज टू बी देयर, बट such type of things do they do utilizes a lot of productive time. So that is also there. Now let me come to the amendment in section 5. Here, a preso has been added under subclass 11, which is applicable with from 26/5/2026. Here, they said that PUFE application look back period to start 2 years back from the first application filed under section so and so, from the earlier 2 years period from the date of admission. Actually, what was happening was that कि जैसे let's see understand it with an example. हमने 1/1/26 को किसी की सेक्शन 7 की एप्लीकेशन फाइल हुई, 6 महीने साल लग जाते थे उसको एडमिट होने में, मान के चला कि 31 दिसंबर को उसकी एडमिट हुई। तो फिर हमारा जो PUFE का पीरियड था वो 31 दिसंबर 2026 से 2 साल बैक का होता था, जिसमें से 1 साल तो एडमिशन का ही निकल जाता था। तो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ इट लॉट ऑफ ट्रांसैक्शंस वी वर नॉट एबल टू dig into it except of section 66 transaction, I'm talking about 43, 45, 47. तो उस चीज को मद्देनजर रखते हुए दे कम आउट, अभी गवर्नमेंट हैज कम आउट फॉर आवर हेल्प एंड फॉर द हेल्प ऑफ ऑल दिस थिंग देयर। नाउ दे से कि जब भी पहली एप्लीकेशन फाइल होगी उसके 2 साल बाद का पीरियड देखा जाएगा। तो मीनिंग देयर बाय कि ये जो पीरियड है जो ये ऑटोमेटिकली एक्सटेंड हो गया दिस थिंग फॉर दिस थिंग देयर फॉर लुकिंग बैक पीरियड, which is something very good. Now let me come to amendment in section 7, 9 and 10. ये इनके अंदर एक बड़ी सिंपल सबकी जगह सेम amendment, new preso has been added subclass 5 applicable so and so. It says कि हाँ जो एप्लीकेशन आएगी इसको 14 दिन के अंदर अंदर एडमिट करना होगा कोर्ट्स को। आई एम टेलिंग यू ये जब यहाँ पे इन्होंने सेलेक्ट कमेटी बनाई थी तो उन्होंने कुछ सीनियर बंदों को बुला के दिल्ली के अंदर उनसे रिप्रेजेंटेशन लिया था। Every stakeholder, every advocate, every IP association, including R also and others also, told the select committee कि ये जो आप 14 दिन का पीरियड एडमिशन का कह रहे हैं, this is practically not at all possible. Why it is not at all possible? मैं इसका एक एग्जांपल आपको देता हूँ। Till 31st March 2026, 9,000 cases has been admitted. और मेरे को नहीं याद कि एक भी केस इनका इन नो आर केसेस में 14 दिन के अंदर एडमिट हुआ हो। तो वी सजेस्टेड देम, यू नो, आवर एडवोकेट्स हु आर रेगुलरली अपेयरिंग फॉर दिस आईबीसी केसेस, दे सजेस्टेड देम कि एक प्रैक्टिकल टाइमलाइन रखिए 60 दिन का या 75 दिन का, सो डैट विद इन डैट जो कि एक एनसीएलटी बेंच के ऊपर थोड़ा सा फोर्स भी करे और उनको वो भी करे कि ये हो, बट दे डिड नॉट लिसन टू अस। दे वेंट विद द अमेंडमेंट व्हिच वाज प्रपोज्ड बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स। अब इसका रिजल्ट क्या होगा? अगेन ये 14 दिन का जो टाइम है, इट विल बी सिंपली ए टाइम लाइन, यू नो, ऑन पेपर्स ओनली। इट विल नो ऑर्डर, और इट इज वेरी 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 लेस चांस कि कोई भी ऑर्डर 14 दिन के अंदर पास होगा। No doubt, they have written that they have to give the reason for giving so and so the order there. But again, you know, had it been near 2 months or something like that, then most of the orders should have been done by the NCLT during that particular period, honoring the underlying commitment in that particular act there. By having a 14 days time, God knows. In any case, another important thing is that in the case of Section 7 application, there's no need to prove the debt. Simply recording in the IU is enough. But here I found one thing good for you. If you feel that you know, we IPs are always excited and interested कि कोई केस एडमिट होगा तो हम भी इसमें भर को काम मिलेगा, and we shall go for that, तो आप एटलीस्ट अपने बेंचेस के अंदर जहाँ पे आपके केसेस पेंडिंग है, जहाँ पे प्रपोज IPO, यू कैन से कि भैया, माय लॉर्ड, दिस इज द टाइम, प्लीज लुक इनटू इट। Amendment is section 12A. 12, you know, when section 12A was coming out to be there, courts have taken it a very, very lenient view. Why they have taken the lenient view? Because they were not much keen कि किसी भी कंपनी के अगेंस्ट इंसॉल्वेंसी आए, कोई भी सेटलमेंट कुछ भी होता था तो उसके लिए वो दाएं बाएं करके, चाहे वो उसका प्लान की फॉर्म जी निकल गया या उसके बाद भी कुछ हो गया, तो दे ऑलवेज अलाउ ऑल दिस थिंग देयर। नो, दिस अमेंडमेंट हैज टेकन केयर फॉर दैट। नो, nothing, no 12A is possible except under these two circumstances. Before the constitution of committee of creditors under subsection 1 or subsection 21. Oh, sorry, it has gone, slides have gone above. Just give me 1 minute. We have gone through this section 3. Section 5, yeah. Yeah. In case of section 5, another is that PISO 11 has been added, which is 26 May 27. It makes proof of application look like period. We have gone through. Section 7, 9, 10, we have also gone through. 12A, we have understood, you know, before the constitution of COC under subsection 1, subsection 21, after the first invitation of submission of election plan has been issued by the election professional, meaning thereby Form G. तो अब इसी के बीच के पीरियड के अंदर आप 12A ले सकते हो। COC बनने से फर्स्ट मीटिंग में जब आपकी COC बन गई वो, और जब तक EOI आपने इशू नहीं करा तब तक के बीच में ही आप 12A का विड्रॉल कर सकते हो, दैट टू डेफिनेटली विद 90% अप्रूवल। अमेंडमेंट इन सेक्शन 14, moratorium not applicable where surety takes action against CD. ये पहले भी था, but it is a little bit now clarified there because a lot of you know, this is not coming out against a bit there. Amendment in section 10, in section 16, it says that in section 10, now 10 application, NCLT will appoint IRP. पहले जो सेक्शन 10 एप्लीकेशन का एप्लीकेंट होता था, जो वो नाम दे देता था IRP का, वो अपॉइंट हो जाता। नो, इट विल बी अपॉइंटेड फ्रॉम द पैनल। ओके, पैनल पे एक मेरे को बात याद आई, जस्ट लाइक टू शेयर विद यू कि व्हाट हैपेंड इज दैट कि इस बार ही अगर आप अपना पैनल देखोगे ना, उसमें एक थोड़ा सा फर्क है। फर्क इस तरह से है कि पहले ये होता था कि जिनके जो हमारा भी 30 जून का पैनल आया है, 1 तारीख को हमारा उन्होंने करा था, जो 6 मंथली अभी पे का पैनल है, कि पहले ये होता था कि जो एक्सपीरियंस आईपीएस होते थे, मी, अनिल जी एंड राहुल जिंदल एंड ऑल दिस पीपल वर देयर, तो उनका नाम सबसे ऊपर आता था। तो लॉट ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन वर मेड बाय द यंग आईपीएस टू देम कि भैया इनका नाम ऊपर आ जाता है, तो उनको जब भी केस लॉट करने की बारी आती है तो इनको केस लॉट हो जाते हैं, इनके पास ऑलरेडी बहुत सारे केसेस हैं, इनको केस लॉट हो जाते हैं, हमारा नंबर ही नहीं आता केस लॉट होने का। तो जो जिन लोगों ने बिल्कुल काम नहीं करा उनको आप प्रायोरिटी में दीजिए। तो नाउ है द रिजल्ट ऑफ इट, जिन लोगों ने बिल्कुल काम नहीं करा, दे हैव गॉट द फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड प्रायोरिटी। और हम लोग जो थोड़ा सा एक्सपीरियंस हैं, जिन्होंने ज़्यादा काम करा, वी हैव कम at the bottom, meaning thereby this is a welcome step, because in our association we always encourage the young IPs। तो उनको अब काम मिलने के चांसेस ज़्यादा होंगे, बिकॉज होता ही है कि जैसे दिल्ली के अंदर है 6 बेंच के अंदर, 6 बेंचेस के अंदर ये लिस्ट को कर देते हैं। तो जनरली जो जिनका नाम जैसे 1 से 1 बेंच 1 के अंदर कर दिया जाता है, 31 से 60 इस तरह से कर दिया जाता है। तो जो जिस बेंच के अंदर जो सबसे ऊपर पर आते हैं, तो उनको कोई ना कोई काम मिलने की चांसेस ज़्यादा हैं। एंड स्पेशली जब आरपी को लिक्विडेटर अपॉइंट नहीं करना, lot of cases for the new appointment of liquidator will come out to be there. So this is a good news for the young IPs, and I think they will feel happy for that. Section 18, manner of claim filing for creditors may be prescribed. There is a sea change now in as far as we IPs are concerned, in as far as this claim collation or verification is concerned. What sea change is there? Now we need to verify instead of collation. If we look into it, there's a what earlier position was that Section 80 require the IRP to collect and collate the claims. There was no explicit status obligation to verify or determine the value of claims. It was in liquidation, but not in CRP process. Verification was governed largely by the CRP regulations amendment. The explanation clarified that the RP shall verify claims and, where required, determine the value of the verified claims. Why it matters? Previously many RP, what we were doing earlier, हमारे पास किसी बैंक का क्लेम आया, उसने अपनी नीचे स्टेटमेंट दी, उसको हमने वेरीफाई करा, कर करके काम करके खत्म करा कि भैया यानी कि देखा किताबों के अंदर है उसका, अगर 100 करोड़ रुपए का बैलेंस है, उसने हमारे पास क्लेम 400 करोड़ रुपए का फाइल करा, एंड वी सेटिस्फाइड कि उसकी स्टेटमेंट के अंदर ये इंटरेस्ट बनता है, वो बनता है, तो हम कर लेते थे, उसको कर लेते थे, तो इट वाज ओके। बट नाउ आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हैज इंक्रीज्ड अ लॉट। नाउ वी नीड टू वेरीफाई द क्लेम्स। मैं आपको इसके अंदर 2 या 3 एग्जांपल देता हूं, जो ये 26 मई के बाद मेरे को क्लेम वेरिफिकेशन के अंदर करने पड़ गए। दैट हैज रियली, इट हैज अ लॉट ऑफ प्रैक्टिकल नो consequences. IRP no longer merely record claims. He must verify from loan documents, security, disbursement, default, guarantees, acknowledgement, interest calculation, valuation of claims, and above that, now we need to classify, after verification, if there is a big difference between book value and amount shown in the books and amount claimed by the creditor, then balance need to be transferred to, we need to have what we have done in our office is that we shall classify these claims into these parts. And we commit any mistake, then the show cause notice, what will happen before, if we commit any mistake in verification, incorrect voting shares, incorrect CSC constitution, challenge to the whole registration process, and disciplinary proceedings can be there. अब मैं इसको ना, I think let me move forward. What standard operating procedures we have changed in our office? We have started preparing claim register, obtaining supporting documents, cross-checking with the books. This is very, very important. Cross-checking with the books. Verify security, verify limitation, verify default, determine the different amount, record reason for partial deletion or rejection. How it has changed, I just share it with you. In one of my case, one of the trustee of the debentures filed a claim with me of 967.97 crores. Now have a look back of that particular claim. व्हाट हैपेंड कि उन्होंने 200 करोड़ रुपए के इनिशियली डिबेंचर्स लिए, उसके बाद उन्होंने इंटरेस्ट लगाया, जो भी करा जैसे भी करा करके कर लिया। और लेकिन डेफिनेटली जब उन्होंने ये ट्रस्ट डीड क्रिएट करते उसके अंदर था कि अगर हमारा को डिफॉल्ट होगा तो हम वहाँ पे ये पेनल्टी चार्ज करेंगे, हम वहाँ पे ये एक्स्ट्रा इंटरेस्ट चार्ज करेंगे, पर डे की पेनल्टी और समथिंग लाइक दैट करके था। 2000 आज से साल 1.5 साल पहले दे एंटर इनटू सम सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट वेयर बाय द सेट कि हम 300 करोड़ रुपए आपसे ले लेते हैं, उसके बाद आप हमारे को दे दीजिए, हम इसको कंक्लूड कर देंगे। 300 करोड़ में से 50 करोड़ में उन्होंने ले भी लिया, तो लेकिन कॉर्पोरेट डेटर बाकी बैलेंस नहीं दे पाया। तो उन्होंने ये करा कि जो सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट है उसको जीरो कर दिया। डे वन से वो स्टार्ट हो गए जब उन्होंने 300 करोड़ पे लिया था। अब एक्चुअल उसके अंदर ये हो रहा है कि 300 करोड़ के केस में ऑलरेडी जो सीडी है उसने 250 करोड़ रुपया उनको पे कर रखा है, डिस्पाइट दैट दे आर कमिंग आउट विद ए 900 प्लस claim amount. I'm really, very difficult for me to know pass his claim. बिकॉज आपने सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट कर लिया, सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट के अंदर आपने 300 करोड़ पे एग्री कर लिया। अब उसके बाद आप ये कर रहे हो कि हमारे को क्या कहते हैं, क्योंकि सेटलमेंट एग्रीमेंट को उन्होंने पार्शली ऑनर करा, फुली ऑनर नहीं करा। नो यू हैव टू डू दैट थिंग देयर। एक दूसरा मैं एग्जांपल और देता हूँ। एक और बड़ा सा क्लेम आया मेरे पास, 1200 करोड़ रुपए का क्लेम आया फ्रॉम वन ऑफ द एनबीएफसी। उस क्लेम के अंदर ये क्लास थी कि अगर आप सिक्योरिटी इंटरेस्ट पर सिक्योरिटी अगर आप प्रॉपर नहीं देते तो हम आपके ऊपर जो आपका आउटस्टैंडिंग अमाउंट है लोन प्लस इंटरेस्ट उसका 20% तक का हम आपसे क्या कहते हैं नॉन सिक्योरिटी क्रिएशन चार्ज लेंगे। तो इन दैट केस, इन माय केस एग्जैक्टली 418 करोड़ रुपए का उन्होंने नॉन सिक्योरिटी क्रिएशन चार्ज करा लिया उन्होंने। तो जब मैंने उनसे पूछा भाई साहब अपने 418 करोड़ रुपए एक अमाउंट होता है, इट्स नॉट ए स्मॉल अमाउंट, आपने किस बेस पे ये क्रिएशन चार्ज ले लिया, जबकि मेरे सीडी ने आपको ये क्या नाम इसका ऑलरेडी सिक्योरिटी दी हुई थी। उन्होंने कहा जी सिक्योरिटी तो दी हुई थी, लेकिन उस सिक्योरिटी के अंदर हमारी ये कंडीशन थी कि ये इसके लिए जो है आपको वो लाना पड़ेगा, क्या कहते हैं जो गवर्नमेंट है यानी कि जैसे नोडा अथॉरिटी है, जो कोई अथॉरिटी है, उनसे नो ड्यूज ला के देना पड़ेगा इस सिक्योरिटी के केस। उन्होंने ला के नहीं दिया, इस करके मैंने आपका ये चार्ज लगा दिया। नाउ यू थिंक पोजीशन ऑफ मी एज एन आरपी, शुड आई पास दैट 400 करोड़ रुपए उनका बिकॉज ऑफ नॉन क्वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ सिक्योरिटी चार्जेस? नॉट, बिकॉज नाउ आई नीड टू वेरीफाई। अर्लियर इट वाज अ कोलिशन, तो उन्होंने डॉक्यूमेंट मेरे को दिया कि नहीं होता, आई शुड हैव विद ब्लाइंड आइज आई शुड दैट।
Should we continue or
या टेल मी, या ममता जी प्लीज प्लीज टेल मी, या
no? As we were discussing, it's 5 o'clock. Would you like to continue or?
no, no, yeah, you want me to? I do one thing. I just conclude with my section 19 amendment.
Yes.
After that, we shall go for the part two. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yeah, absolutely okay.
Or you want me to continue for another 10-15 minutes?
As I think people are keenly listening, so kindly let's continue for another 10 minutes.
Okay, adhering to my ABC timeline, I shall conclude at 5:15 exactly. I take the liberty of 5 minutes from my sister, please. Amendment in section 19. What amendment in section 19 says? Earlier position, no scope of section 19 has been increased. This has been increased because of many reasons. Now earlier what earlier position was that? I'll be a little bit fast now, please bear it with me. Earlier personal promoters management were there. Now obligation extends to not only to existing personals but to the former personals also, to the promoters also, to the former management also, persons associated with managements also. What was earlier happening was that कि whenever they feel that our ship is sinking, the company is going for the insolvency, वो जो promoters clever होते थे वो अपने आप को वहाँ से निकाल के, स्पेशली लुकिंग फॉर 2 years लुक बैक पीरियड को कंसिडर करती है, निकाल के एप्लीकेशन को स्टैंड करवा करो के डमी डायरेक्टर्स को वगैरह कर देते थे। तो नो दिस सेक्शन 17 विल बी एप्लीकेबल देन persons engaged under contract or services, meaning thereby कि जैसे हम लोग आउटसोर्सेज का काम करते हैं तो like auditors, like accounting charges and all this thing there, they will also be covered under section 19 them. And as an RP, we have a right to seek details from them. These are list I prepared with my experience कि आप किन किन से ले सकते हो। What SOPs for we IP with this there? Quickly I'm going through. Immediately issue cooperation notices to so and so, not only to directors but to all their. Maintain record of non-cooperation. then you can be successful in claiming your the claim against the under section 92. Okay, now come to the amendment in section 21, committee of creditors. Yeah, this is also one of the very important amendment. COs is no longer confined to CRP. It will also supervise liquidation in specified cases. What earlier position was that? Earlier, with introduction of liquidation regulation 31A, SEC was introduced with lot of powers, and the COC ceased to exist once liquidation commenced, and the liquidator functioned independently. New position: the COC continues during liquidation, subject to the commencement provision. It has already commenced. Supervising the liquidator. I shall go a little bit deep into these provisions because these are practically absolutely applicable to us. Practical impact: the liquidator must now convene COC meetings, present reports, seek approvals where required by regulations, keep creditors informed. Implications: liquidators become more creditor driven. IP should prepare liquidation agenda, quarterly report. क्वार्टरली रिपोर्ट से मेरे को याद आया, जब हम लोग सीआरपी का प्रोसेस करते थे तो हम लोग सिर्फ अपनी क्या कहते जो ये फाइलिंग करते थे मिनट्स वगैरह की, लाइक दैट देयर वाज नो रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ एनी क्वार्टरली रिपोर्ट. अब ये सीओसी बनने के बाद मे बी वी हैव टू फाइल ऑल दिस आल्सो देयर, बट जो हमारा फॉर्म ई है जो हमारा वो पॉलिश हो गया है लिक्विडेशन रेगुलेशन के अंदर, बट वी नीड टू लुक इनटू फाइल डू द डबल वर्क नाउ जो सीआरपी से लिक्विडेशन में आने के बाद होगा बिकॉज ऑफ फाइलिंग ऑफ क्वार्टर रिपोर्ट. उसका भी फॉर्मेट सरकार ने स्पेसिफाई कर दिया है, तो रिमेंबर टू फाइल इन दैट देयर कंप्लायंस रजिस्टर.
In fact, I just want to add on to this, and it's in 1-2 matters this had come for opinion, that for example, if there is a supervisory committee which is already in operation today, okay, there's a stakeholders consultation committee which is already in operation today, then will that continue in the same state? That will it continue as a stakeholders consultation committee or not? The probable answer, which is tilted towards quite a sure answer, that because there is no continuity of that section anymore, that section has been aborted. Therefore, you have to actually convert that stakeholders consultation committee into a COC. Now, it's a difficult task.
I'm really thankful to ममता जी. मेरी आने वाली 2-3 स्लाइड्स इसी के ऊपर थी जो उन्होंने समराइज करके विद इन 15 सेकंड्स कंक्लूड कर दिया. थैंक यू ममता जी. बट लेट मी मूव विद इट.
वेरी वेरी क्रिटिकल. और
इट्स वेरी क्रिटिकल.
डिफिकल्ट काम है क्योंकि अभी सपोज आप 1 साल से वो कंसल्टेशन स्टेकहोल्डर्स कंसल्टेशन कमिटी चला रहे. वी हैव लॉस्ट, आई मीन सीओसी ऑब्वियसली 1 साल से नहीं है. अब आपको सबको यू हैव टू ब्रिंग देम बैक.
नहीं ममता, मैं इसमें बताता हूँ. आई टेल यू एक्चुअली व्हाट प्रैक्टिकली इज हैपनिंग इज दैट अगर हम पहले सीओसी और एससीसी में कंपेयर करते तो प्रैक्टिकली ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं आता. कारण उसका यह है कि इसके अंदर हम सिर्फ ओसीज को ऐड करते थे. फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स ऑलरेडी होते ही थे, तो अब सीओसी के अंदर जो हमारे ओसीज ऐड हो जाते थे उनका वो बेचारे बाहर हो गए. आप ओसीज हैव गॉन आउट. तो इस करके अगर हमारी पहली सीओसी के अंदर वो फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स होते थे दे रिमेन कंटिन्यू. अब इसका डिटेल में मैंने आगे 1-2 स्लाइड्स बनाई है लेट कि प्रैक्टिकली अब हमारे को क्या करना है. तो मैं फिर 2 मिनट और एक्स्ट्रा ले लूंगा अगर 5-15 के बाद. अलाउ मी प्लीज. तो वो इसका हम ये अब कर रहे हैं. तो नाउ लेट मी कम टू द अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ आरपी. इसके अंदर सिर्फ एक ही चेंज आया है. लेट मी मूव लिटिल बिट क्विकली. ये C RP in the designated appointment become effective so and so. Okay, now earlier what was happening was that कि IRP से RP बनने के लिए हमारे को पिटीशन डालनी पड़ती थी NCLT में. अब जो है इट इज जैसे ही हमारी COC अप्रूव करती है इट इज ऑटोमेटिक. What is application? There is also a little bit of change in what is application. It's not very important. I have only 5 minutes. Let me move forward. तो इसके अंदर वी नीड टू यू कैन गो थ्रू माय दीस स्लाइड्स लेटर ऑन इन माय यूट्यूब. यू नीड टू डू लिटिल बिट मोर डीप इनटू ऑल दिस अवॉइडेंस सेक्शंस. Okay, this is something very good. New section 28A. It says like that transfer of guarantors asset. This is a major innovation applicable with foreground so and so. Aces of Gruntes enforced under other laws, so and so, generally remained outside the registration network. Let's understand it practically. That what happened is that in one of the CRPs going on, and PG has generally they have some land or something like that with them. जो ये क्या नाम इसका जो landed building and all this thing is in the company name. No. You if install PG to CD section 94/95 application has been filed against him and the process is going on, then with the permission of MOC, because in PG to CD cases we call them MOC, Ministry of Creditors, Meeting of Creditors, and with the permission of the 66% MOC, you can transfer those assets इन योर CRP. जैसे हमारे केस के अंदर मैं नाम भी बताता हूँ, गीगा पाइप के अंदर केस था, लैंड एक बंदे के पास थी, उसके बाद उसने शेड वेट कंपनी के अंदर बना दी, शेड की वैल्यू स्क्रैप वैल्यू थी, लेकिन लैंड और जब मैं शेड की वैल्यू बना लूँ तो मेरे अंदर 2 या 3 करोड़ रुपए का उसके अंदर वैल्यू एडिशन होता है. तो नो अंडर दिस सेक्शन 28A यू कैन यूज दिस देयर इन योर CRP, डेफिनेटली सब्जेक्ट टू 2 और 3 कंडीशंस आर देयर कि पोसेशन उनके पास होना चाहिए, ये क्या कहते हैं सरफासी एक्ट या और किसी एक्ट के अंदर ये CD के फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर के पास. तो अब उसके अंदर भी एक थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन आ रहा है कि अंडर सरफासी एक्ट वी हैव 2 टाइप्स ऑफ प्रोफेशन, वन इज सिंबॉलिक एंड अदर इज फिजिकल. तो उन्होंने सिर्फ पोसेशन वर्ड यूज करा है. तो आई थिंक विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम courts will decide on it, and this will also be there. This will also be removed.
Sir, may I come in?
Now, let me tell you, some of the important amendment in Section 13, registration plan. The amendment introduces several significant changes, key changes. Specific, protection has been given not to dissenting financial creditors through the newly inserted Class BA. पहले क्या होता था कि जो डिसेंटिंग क्रेडिटर्स होते थे उनकी अगर लिक्विडेशन वैल्यू या उसके बीच में कोई फर्क आता था क्या नाम डिसेंटिंग के अंदर, तो वो उसके अंदर नो दे आर एट द रिसीविंग एंड, नो दे हैव टू कंसिडर मिनिमम लोअर ऑफ द बोथ. Please bear with me, I'm going a little bit fast. Now, approval of registration plan, the amendment strengthens implementation, provides greater certainty. Key changes. AO may approve implementation along with, first and distribution later on. Now, distinction has been made broadly कि आप because plan approval के अंदर ये implementation को और distribution को अलग अलग कर दिया है गया. रीजन उसका ये था कि many a times NCLT orders are hold on because of not distribution के अंदर यानी कि जो फर्क आ रहा होता था के बीच में, अब उन्होंने कह दिया कि हम 2 तरह के ऑर्डर पास करेंगे, एक इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का और उसका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का. दैट इज दैट. दूसरा 31 के अंदर चेंज ये आया है कि व्हाट वाज अर्लियर हैपनिंग वाज दैट कि एनसीएलटी छोटी मोटी बातों के ऊपर, टेक्निकल डिफॉल्ट्स के ऊपर भी प्लान को रिजेक्ट कर देते थे जो ऑब्जेक्टिव था नहीं. नो दे हैव टू बिफोर रिजेक्टिंग एन प्लान, जुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी इज empowered to rectify the defect in that particular plan, which was not earlier statutory with them, and hence they were doing all this thing there, rejecting there. Now that they can give remove it there. A 30-day timeline is prescribed for passing orders with reasons required for delay. God forbid, I don't think so. Any NCLT can ever pass any plan within 30 days timeline. Licenses, permits, and concessions linked to the cooperator are protected where obligations continue to be met. What it was there that in one of our case, what happened that they were having a contract with some of the municipality, which says that अगर सिटी इंसॉल्वेंसी पे चला जाएगा तो उसका जो है ये क्या कहते हैं जो हमारे साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है वो जीरो हो जाएगा. तो अब IBC has come out with there कि अगर कोई इंसॉल्वेंसी ऐसा जाता है तो इट वोंट बी जीरो. क्लेम्स अगेंस्ट द कॉर्पोरेटर प्रायर टू द अप्रूवल आर एक्सटिंग्विश्ड. देयर वाज लिटिल बिट कंफ्यूजन कि जो जिसको हम क्या कहते हैं अपनी एक्सटिंग्विशमेंट ऑफ क्लेम्स का जिनकी बात करते थे कि नो दे हैव क्लियरली स्टेटेड इन द लॉ नाउ कि जितने भी क्लेम चाहे फाइल्ड है जब अनफाइल्ड है दे विल extinguished in the law. Claims against the cooperator prior to the approval are extinguished, subject to the stated exceptions. कोई stated exception अभी नहीं है. And related proceedings can't continue with so and so. Amendment in so and so checklist. ये checklist मैंने बनाई है. तो you please go through our YouTube channel later on. And because hardly 1 minute is left for me to there. वही पे जो मैंने आपसे बात करी, हम 32 सेक्शन 2 के अंदर एक वो सर्टिफिकेट देते थे। तो वी नीड टू प्रिपेयर दिस, जो भी हमने पूरा का पूरा प्रोसेस करा ये सीआरपी का, उसको वी नीड टू लुक डीप इनटू इट एंड बिफोर गिविंग दिस सर्टिफिकेट, अदरवाइज सम प्रॉब्लम्स कैन बी विद अस। दिस इज आर ऑफिस चेकलिस्ट विच यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड, विच यू कैन गो थ्रू लेटर ऑन, कि हमने क्या क्या करना है। फॉर्म एच, इनफैक्ट हम तो फॉर्म एच की जो रिक्वायरमेंट है इसको हम पहले दिन से ही लिख लेते हैं, सो दैट इसके जो भी सब प्रोविजंस हैं हम उनको, हमारे लिए एक चेकलिस्ट भी बन जाते हैं और हम इनको वो भी करते रहते हैं। प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लाइसेंसेज एंड गवर्नमेंट अप्रूवल, अर्लियर पोजीशन मैनी लाइसेंसेज आर कैंसल्ड ऑटोमेटिकली अपॉन सो एंड सो, ये मैंने अभी आपसे बात करी ली। नाउ लेट्स मूव टू प्रैक्टिकल फैक्ट्स। प्लान के लिए अब जब हमने कहा कि सारी की सारी लाइबिलिटीज एक्सटिंग्विश हो जाएंगी, तो हमारी लाइबिलिटी जो जीएसटी के अंदर है, जो माइनिंग लीजेस के अंदर है, जब हमने जो प्रैक्टिकल काम करा, हमने उसे जो उसको देखा थोड़ा सा, तो वो वी नीड टू लुक इनटू ऑल दिस टेलीकॉम लाइसेंसेज, एनवायरमेंट क्लियरेंसेज, फैक्ट्री लाइसेंसेज, इनकी जो हमारे को अब इनका बेनिफिट मिलेगा ऑफ देयर एक्सपायरिंग एंड ऑल दिस थिंग देयर इन द प्लान, दैट वी नीड टू गुड गो डीप इनटू इट एंड टेल देम कि भैया अगर आपकी कस्टम की आपकी इतनी लाइबिलिटी थी, मान के चलो 100 करोड़ की लाइबिलिटी थी, और बिकॉज ऑफ आफ्टर प्लान प्रो इट गेट एक्सटिंग्विश, तो जो भी हमारे डिफरेंट कस्टम के ये एरियाज थे, जहाँ जुरिडिक्शन थी, उनमें अगर कोई इस तरह से लाइबिलिटी थी, सिमिलरली अगर जीएसटी आपका था, अलग अलग स्टेट का अलग अलग था, उसके अंदर जो जो लाइबिलिटी थी, यू मस्ट टेल देम दिस थिंग देयर स्टेटिंग पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन कि भैया अब प्लान प्रो के बाद ऑल दिस हैव बिकम जीरो। एक्सटिंग्विशमेंट क्लेम ये मैंने आपको बता दिया, यू कैन गो ओके। नाउ आई नीड टू स्टॉप, अदरवाइज माय बिग सिस्टर विल ब्लो ऑन मी कि आपने टाइम ज़्यादा ले लिया। हम ऐसा करेंगे, लॉट ऑफ अदर थिंग्स आर आल्सो देयर विच वी शेल टेक इनटू consideration in our part 2. Mamta ji, please, I've obeyed you and concluded my meeting at 5:15. So please, if you're there, to please come forward. Actually, I think she get excluded
No,
because of her.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
please,
Yes.
conclude the meeting, please.
Yeah. So I would deeply thank and express gratitude to all our precious participants who are here, seniors, peers, and of course students. It's
वीडियो आपका ऑन नहीं
actually,
है, प्लीज वीडियो ऑन कर लीजिए।
सर वो इसीलिए लॉग ऑफ हो गया था। आई थिंक द इंटरनेट, बहुत बारिश हो रही है कैलकाटा में। हाँ,
चलिए प्लीज।
so thank you very much. And I would just want to say one thing. IPA, we are very happy to do whatever we are doing because it is also giving us learning. So when we interact with your good self, the learning that we also get is actually humongous. So it's absolutely give and take. So thank you so much. Just let us not think that it is only giving. It is actually taking a lot of experiences and remembrances from these kind of sessions. We will have a part 2 of this session very, very soon because the preparation is absolutely on. So we'll try to do it in the first few days of the next week so that we can actually go back with some consolidated learning. Thank you so much. We look forward to have you once again.
If anybody has any question, he can just interact with us. We are here to reply all those questions to the best of our knowledge and belief. Or otherwise, we close the meeting with the NCOC meeting called vote of thanks. Here we shall say thank you very much, everybody. हाँ जी,
Thank you
जसवीर जी
very much.
बताइए।
Manoj ji, I got one.
Manoj ji, Mamta ji.
Manoj
हाँ
ji,
जी,
I
हाँ
got
जी, हाँ
one
जी।
Ji
question.
sir, ji sir, ji sir.
It
See,
was a
legal sir,
very, you can say, informative program. And one request I'll make that please share the PPT with all the participants to have the further, you can say, knowledge to improve their knowledge level. And at the earliest, come with the second round. Thank you again.
फॉर दैट आई मिस्टर एसबी सिंह इज देयर। एसबी सिंह जी, वो हम लोग यूट्यूब चैनल में इसको डाल देंगे। और एज फार एज पीपीटी इज कंसर्न, तो पीपीटी को हम कैसे शेयर करें आपके साथ? यू टेल अस, जब हम जो अपनी क्या कहते हैं, जो हमारे आईपा वाली साइट्स है उसमें
WhatsApp
हम
ग्रुप
शेयर
में
करें।
डालिए ना।
हाँ,
ग्रुप में
व्हाट्सएप
डाल
पे
दो।
डालें।
AIP
हाँ
या
डाल दो।
ग्रुप में
Yeah,
डालिए
that's
ना।
a very good suggestion. Sure,
हाँ,
I
That
will share my.
definitely put it there.
thank you,
Definitely
thank you,
put it there.
thank you.
Manoj ji, I got one query. Say in the case
हाँ,
of
please, Manoj ji.
liquidation, in the case of liquidation, already one SEC is there. Now, do we have to dismantle it and continue with the COC, then remove all the operation creditors from it?
Yes, 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 yes,
Yes,
please.
we have
और
to,
इसके साथ
and हाँ,
हाँ जी,
जी, go ahead.
इसके साथ
Either
प्रोसीजर ये भी कर लेना आप कि जो हम लोगों ने करा है, दैट इज नॉट रिटन इन द लॉ, कि जिन जिन को आप रिमूव करोगे उनको इन्फॉर्म भी कर देना, उनको बता भी देना कि हम इस कारण से आपको रिमूव कर रहे हैं, और जिन फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिटर्स का शेयर बढ़ेगा आप उनको भी इन्फॉर्म कर देना। और जब ये जैसे हम लोगों ने जो लिक्विडेशन का प्रोसेस उसके बाद पहला करा था, तो उसकी इन सब चीज़ों को मिनिटाइज भी कर देना। और अगर लगे आपको कि
ये
हमें
फाइल
इसकी
करना है।
नहीं, आइए फाइल करने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो वो मिनिटाइज कर देना इसको। और इसमें अगर आपको लगे कि हमने इसके ऊपर वोटिंग करवानी है अपने इस प्रोसेस, हमने नहीं करवाई, इफ यू गो
Manoj
यू
ji,
वांट टू
no, no, Manoj ji, there's no voting because it's
Voting,
happening by
voting की
operation of
जरूरत नहीं
law.
है।
कोई
हाँ,
जरूरत नहीं
मैं
है.
मैंने
And
यही कहा, हमने
हाँ,
नहीं करवाई। नहीं, मैं आपको बताता हूँ व्हाट हैपन इज दैट कि ये कुछ ऑपरेशंस कैडर्स ना, दे आर ऑफ द वेरी फाइटिंग मूड एंड ऑल दिस थिंग देयर। लॉ डज नॉट से टू डू दैट, बट वी हैव आल्सो नॉट डन। तो उस केस के अंदर यू
no,
हैव
the
योर
resolution that you are passing will have a preamble that it is by operation of law that this is being
yes,
done.
yes,
And
Yes.
second is, please don't call it dismantling. I know you may have used it casually just to ask the question, but still, please refrain from using the word dismantling. We have to write rechristening of the
Reconstituting the stakeholders.
rechristening and reconstitution of the stakeholders consultation committee in view of the mandate of the law, which is effective so and so.
yes.
And
Well
therefore, it is
structured
being
letter should go.
reconstituted.
या इसमें एक और काम
Yes,
कर लेना, जैसे कि सपोज कर लो आपने अभी तक 10 एसएससी मीटिंग कर दी है, तो अब सीओसी नहीं फॉर्म हुई तो उसमें आप लिख के दोगे जैसा रिकॉन्स्टिट्यूट समथिंग लाइक दैट,
yes,
उसको
yes, yes,
13 नंबर देना, आप उसको 13
yes.
नंबर देना। डोंट स्टार्ट इट फ्रेश।
Thank you.
इस ममता जी, यू बीइंग एन एडवोकेट ऐड टू माय सेइंग।
No, you're absolutely right, Manoj. एकदम सही है अंडरस्टैंडिंग। आपको 13 नंबर से शुरू करना, not
हम
one.
Bad बेटे
Correct.
bad.
हम आईपीज यहाँ भी फंसते हैं ना, हमारी हेल्प वकील ही करते हैं, वकील ही हमारे को बचाते हैं। वी आर ऑलवेज थैंकफुल टू आवर एडवोकेट्स, एंड ममता इज माय बिग सिस्टर, लर्नड सिस्टर, शी ऑलवेज
Manoj,
गाइड
you are also
शी
doing
ऑलवेज
such
गाइड
good
मी।
work. So
Yeah.
we are all very elated and also indebted
Uh,
to our.
Manoj ji, I have
Bravo.
got a question. Can I ask now?
Yes,
Please,
please, sir.
please.
Yeah. This is related to the dissenting creditors. Can you
Manoj
share
ji,
with an
please.
example? I will tell you the example. The liquidation value is say coming to 100 crores, right? Only one creditor is there, or you can say two creditors are there, and the plan provides only say 35 crores. What will happen? How this is being dealt in the new amendment?
35 crore. Mamta
So
ji, please let her.
whichever is
Whichever is,
lower.
yeah, that has been added there.
So
That is why they
one,
want to discourage for the dissenting creditors.
yes. So one
They want to
has to,
discourage.
Manoj ji, one has to first calculate what is the liquidation value. Okay. Out of that liquidation value, how much ought to have been otherwise payable to the dissenting financial creditor, or first that has to be calculated as per the liquidation value. And then whichever is higher, whichever is lower has been given there, one has to pay that. So for example, if the calculation is showing up 40 crore and we are paying 35 crore, then it is not in tandem with the law. One has to be then getting 40 crore. So
Mamta ji,
calculation has to be first taken out. Yes, please. I'm just finishing it. Calculation has to be first done vis-a-vis the liquidation value. कि उनका कितना शेयर बन रहा था लिक्विडेशन वैल्यू के तहत, और अपनी सबकी कैलकुलेशन इसमें एकदम सही रहती है कि हम लोग कभी भी इसमें फॉल्टर नहीं करते हैं। तो लॉ बोल रहा है कि भाई फॉल्टर मत करना, अगर करोगे तो तुम्हारा रेजोल्यूशन प्लान विल बी वॉइड एब इनिशियो फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर इशू। रेजोल्यूशन प्लान विल नॉट गो फॉरवर्ड बिकॉज इट इज नॉट इन कंप्लायंस विद द लॉ। तो आपके एग्जाम्पल में अगर 40 करोड़ का हमारा कैलकुलेशन आता है और आप 35 करोड़ दे रहे हैं, तो देयरफॉर इट इज नॉट इन कंप्लायंस।
So it is not
Yes, Manoj.
lower of both. That means that definitely dissenting creditors are eligible to take home the liquidation value portion for them. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Anything
Thanks.
else? Any
Yeah,
other question, please?
can I ask a question? Hello?
Yes, yes, please, please.
Actually, sir, if you see that amendment, fourth amendment, IBB liquidation process, regulation 8 says that liquidator shall not undertake or following without the prior approval of committee. One of the condition is the continuation or institution of any suit or legal proceedings by your agent
Yes, yes.
or corporate. Now my point is, if the liquidator wants to withdraw a case to get hold of an asset in the liquidation estate, does he also require the approval of COC? Because withdrawal is not mentioned here. It is only said that institution of case.
Manoj, may I?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Sir, you have to. Because see, in the language of law, everything sometimes is not possible for the lawmakers to include. So when what we normally say sometimes in such kind of issues, we institution jitna important hai, that much important is also actually withdrawal. So it is absolutely इज एब्सोल्युटली इम्पोर्टेंट और अनिवार्य होगा कि आप इसका भी अप्रूवल लेकर ही विड्रॉ करिएगा बिकॉज समटाइम्स योर मे बी in the COC's perspective, you're taking away the rights. Maybe we are compromising from the valuation if we are actually withdrawing it. So it will be important that you inform the COC as to why we are withdrawing and also have the financial implication of that withdrawal to say that this withdrawal will help save the COC 200 crores, or it is help going to bring 20 crores to the kitty. It is going to expedite because now within 6 months you have to actually finish the liquidation. So, for example, there's some onerous thing which is there in that particular litigation. So you can write that because of the onerous thing there being in that litigation, and it will not enable the liquidation to get closed in 6 months. Proof, etc., you can continue, but not all litigations you can continue. Here, I also want to just give you one more idea, which we are seeing in one of the matters, is that people are also making a packet of the litigations, which are actually long drawn. Okay, and actually, they are also selling the litigations. I'm just giving you an idea.
NRRA.
Yeah, this is also a new trend that I'm seeing in the courts. That some of the high profile matters I heard that there, the litigations can be actually made a bunch of, and you can also actually sell them. There are a lot of people who look for such litigation funding is a very new concept in India which is coming up, but though in the Indian forums we haven't seen much of that. But you can actually sell those litigations if you feel they are very long drawn and who will carry, etc. Normally I have also seen in one of the matters that some liquidator was suggesting one of the nationalized banks that you can create a trust. In that trust, you can actually take all the
Mhm.
liquidation so that I can go for early liquidation vis-a-vis like resolution, etc. But obviously, the nationalized banks cannot do it. We all understand. How can they start creating trust for each individual matters? It's not possible. They are nationalized banks. But private lenders, if they are there, they are actually keen to even take that up and take the company to early liquidation. Just wanted to give you a few perspectives.
Okay.
Thank you.
In any case, let's close the meeting now, please. With the permission of everybody and especially Mamta ji.
Um, okay, we can close it, sir. Let's do a part 2 very quickly. Thank you so much, sirs. Happy evening. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. We are highly obliged. We are having attendance of around 90 people today, at peak with us. And your attendance encourages us. Your attendance makes us to have part 2 very early. We have already prepared for that. We shall try to have it, at the earliest so that we can share our knowledge with you and, get enlightened with your knowledge also. Thank you very much. This is IPA. We are continuing with IPA. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you from IPA to all our.
Thank you. Perfect.